Coming up, Luka refuses to lose in LA. This is Locked On Game to Game NBA.
Every game, every team, every angle. Locked On Game to Game, your team every day.
Welcome in. You're listening to Locked On Game to Game NBA, local experts going over the biggest stories on the hardwood. I am your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you so much for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. It took 2 overtimes, but Luka Doncic would not let the Mavs lose on Thursday night in Los Angeles. The Mavs took down the Lakers after a triple-double from the Slovakian star, and both Locked On Mavs and Lakers recap things from the West Coast.
What on earth just went down in the Crypto.com arena? Nick Angster from the Locked On Mavericks podcast, and it's a meme, but I really don't know what happened in this game tonight. A wild, back and forth, tough, physical, badly officiated, double overtime game where Luka Doncic played 53 minutes in this game, like an insane amount of minutes, had a huge triple-double, 35, 14, and 13, and the Mavs come up with some huge plays late, despite really trying to blow this game in so many different ways. They really couldn't defend the rim to save their life at all until Christian Wood late in the game. Huge blocks on LeBron late in the game, huge plays towards the end. He had an incredible game. Ton of rebounds, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 blocks for Christian Wood in this game. An incredible, wild, undeserved win, but the Mavericks get it. It's a W in the win column. They'll take it.
This is Andy Kamenetsky, co-host of Locked On Lakers podcast, and the Lakers lose 119-115, double overtime in LA against the Dallas Mavericks, a game where the Lakers spent a lot of early energy fighting back from a bad first quarter, and they had opportunities to win this game, which was, side note, refed god-awful on both sides. But in the end, too many missed threes. They were 10 of 41. Too many missed free throws, 17 of 27, in a tight game with too much Luka Doncic, who was a freaking magician. 35 points, 14 rebounds, 13 assists, just absolutely controlled this game. The Lakers fought hard, fought admirably, but just couldn't make it happen when it really mattered the most. A lot more to get into, so make sure you are subscribing to Locked On Lakers YouTube channel and that you make Locked On Lakers your first listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Damian Lillard scored 50 points last night on Thursday, but the Cavaliers got past his huge performance and beat the Trailblazers. Locked On Cavs and Blazers have more after Cleveland's win.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Evan Damerl here with a Locked On Now takeaway after the Cleveland Cavaliers 119-113 win over the Portland Trailblazers. Well, Ricky Rubio was exactly what the doctor ordered in his 10-ish minutes back to the floor. He had 9 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and you could tell that the Cavs played with a lot more sense of urgency. They had a bigger spark in this game just because having one of their key veteran leaders and one of their key presences on the court back really shifted things for Cleveland, and you definitely saw it from their all-star backcourt and Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, who combined for 46 points, 15 assists, 7 rebounds, and a lot of clutch plays down the stretch to kind of fight back against Damian Lillard, who had 15 points. Hear about this and more on Friday's Locked On Cavs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Damian Lillard scored 50 points. The Trailblazers led for the first 43 minutes and 20 seconds of the game. And they lost. For a 5th straight. They fall to 9-14 in games that are within 5 points in the final 5 minutes. I'm Mike Richmond, host of Locked On Blazers, and I have seen this before. This is what this team is becoming, a team just good enough to lose games that are close. They do it again on Thursday night to the Cavs, spoiling a magnificent night from Damian Lillard with a brick and then a bad turnover in the final 2 minutes that swung a game that they led every single minute until the 4:40 mark of the fourth. Well, two more this weekend against the Mavs. I bet it'll be close. Listen to Locked On Blazers for more.
The Celtics did not have Jaylen Brown, and the Nets played without Kevin Durant on Thursday, but it was the Boston supporting cast that ended up getting the job done in Brooklyn. Locked On Celtics and Locked On Nets go over the road win for the C's.
On a night where the Celtics didn't have Jaylen Brown or Al Horford, Jason Tatum just didn't have it. But it didn't matter. The Celtics still pulled off a big-time win, and it was thanks to everyone else. Tatum, 20 points on 32% shooting and 2 of 10 from 3. That's not going to win you many games, especially when Jaylen Brown is out and probably out for a couple of weeks. But everyone else, just go down the box score. You can see who gave you big contributions. Marcus Smart with 10 assists. Derek White, 4 of 7 from 3, and another big block shot. Robert Williams playing more than he has at all since his comeback, making a big contribution on the boards, on defense, and catching lobs, cleaning up messes. Grant Williams, just go down the line. Luke Cornett had a huge game, and especially early. Peyton Pritchard, who had struggled all season long, finally found his confidence, finally found his shot, got on the offensive boards. I mean, can go down the line here and just performance after performance after performance from guys who maybe had fresher legs. Jason Tatum really looked like he was swimming in mud in this game. He looked exhausted. And for the Celtics to get this type of performance from everybody else is really, really impressive. This is a huge win, a big win, a quality win for a Celtics team that may not have won this in earlier December in that little swoon that they were in. Big win for the Celtics. Now they continue their road trip with a weekend in Charlotte. I'm talking about it all on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Doug Norrie, Locked On Nets, coming at you following a 109-98 loss by the Brooklyn Nets to the visiting Boston Celtics in the first game in Brooklyn without superstar Kevin Durant. Durant obviously went down with a knee injury last game. He's going to be out multiple weeks. We got to see what this team could look like without Durant on the court. It was going to be up to Kyrie Irving, up to Ben Simmons, up to a spot start from Joe Harris. A strong first half by Brooklyn gave way to a very strong defensive performance by Boston in the second half. Irving finishes with 24, got a little hero ball near the end. Ben Simmons almost pulls off a triple-double without scoring any points. We're going to be talking about all of this and more over at the Locked On Nets podcast.
The Miami Heat battled back from down 13 two different times to make their biggest comeback win of the season so far. Locked On Heat and Bucks recap after the final in Miami.
After a rough start, the Miami Heat were able to bounce back to seal a win over the Giannis Antetokounmpo-less Milwaukee Bucks to go 3 games over 500 for the first time all season. I'm David Ramil, the host of Locked On Heat. Miami scored just 14 points in the first quarter, missing wide open looks as Milwaukee's Brook Lopez defended the paint, keeping Heat scorers away from the rim. But the Heat erased a 15-point deficit with a 28-11 run in the second quarter to take the lead and cruise from there, shooting over 53% in the second half and winning it comfortably 108-102. Miami was led by Gabe Vincent, scoring a career-high 28 points and starting in place of Kyle Lowry, and Bam Adebayo strengthened his all-star campaign by adding 24 points against Lopez, one of the best defensive centers in the NBA. Miami's ball movement was incredible during their comeback, moving off ball and cutting away from Bucks defenders to outscore Milwaukee by 40 in the paint and out-rebounding the Bucks by a 22-rebound margin. Injuries on both sides were a huge factor as Antetokounmpo sat out the game on the second night of a back-to-back set, and the Bucks were without Joe Ingles and Chris Middleton. Miami was missing Lowry as well as starters Tyler Hero and Caleb Martin as well, but overall it was still an impressive effort from the Heat, who have won 7 of their last 10 and look to be back on track. The two teams will play again on Saturday afternoon, with Giannis expected to return to action. For the recap of tonight's game, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Heat.
It was a back-to-back. It was on the road, and the Bucks battled pretty hard in this game against Miami, but they weren't able to get over the hump. My name's Kane Pittman. I'm the host of the Locked On Bucks podcast. 108, 102 was your final. You've got no Giannis. Chris Middleton still out of the lineup, and Joe Ingles wasn't there as well. So the Bucks were severely depleted of their main playmakers, their best facilitators. So what are you going to do? You're going to shoot a bunch of threes against this Heat team. The Bucks averaged 38 three-point attempts on the season per game. Tonight they got up 57, and really a lot of that plan went well. You got 15 three-point makes between Javon Carter, AJ Green, and Jordan Nwora. That is about as much as you can hope for. Brook Lopez didn't have a great night. He was 2 for 12, but Drew Holiday was efficient, 24 points, 11 assists on 7 for 10 shooting. So a lot of things went right for the Bucks in this game. They were able to get over the 100-point mark, but ultimately they couldn't slow down the Heat defensively. and maybe let one slip that you would like to grab. But the Bucks will get another chance in Miami on the weekend. Take it easy, guys. Don't hit the clubs too much.
That's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Game to Game NBA. Thank you once again for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. Now make sure you're subscribed to Locked On NBA and, of course, your favorite team's Locked On podcast on YouTube and wherever else you get your podcasts from. I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been Locked On Game to Game.